This is the HomeTech Podcast for Friday, iPhone Friday, September 12th. From Sarasota, Florida, I'm Seth Johnson.
From Reynoldsburg, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
Welcome to the HomeTech Podcast all about home technology, home innovation, and what iPhone are you getting?
By the time you hear this, you already have your iPhone. You probably already had it for a couple of weeks at this point. Who knows?
Yeah, you probably already have it, honestly. Yeah. Tomorrow's the big day. I guess you could select for the pre-order, but then you have to wake up tomorrow at 9 a.m., refresh your phone until you see the little button that says go. But I don't know. I don't know why they do that. Like, if you can stagger it out over the week, why not just automate the button that says go on Friday?
Can't Apple Intelligence do this for me?
You can ask Siri to do it. You probably just never get a phone. She returns some web search results.
Send it somewhere else. Send it to a charity somewhere. Did you guys pre-order a phone or no? Or are you going to, I guess I should say?
I'm going to figure it out tonight. I guess I have to, huh? I'm so torn. Like, I want the little small one, but my wife is like, you'll destroy that. And I think she's right.
By the small one, do you mean the Air?
The Air, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's fancy.
It's titanium. You probably won't destroy it. I mean, the iPhone 15 is titanium, and I've dropped it off like 10-foot ladders. It's not as thin, obviously, but titanium, very strong. That's the only thing that has me worried about them going back to aluminum.
For the Pros.
It's like that. Yeah, the titanium is so strong.
And the Pro comes in a very nice orange color that I like. So it's bold. It's better than the boring other Pro colors they used to have, which was basically blue, black, white. They used to have a purple one. I had the purple one for a while. But the one I have now is gray. I guess it doesn't matter what color it is because it's going to end up in a case with me.
It is kind of weird. They usually have no colors at all. And this year they only have colors.
Yeah.
You know, usually everybody's complaining. They're like, oh, I want something besides, some variation of black, silver, white. That's what it is usually.
Yeah.
This year it's blue, orange, and white.
And I'm upset there's no black option. All my phones have been black, but this year I can't get a black one. So I pre-ordered the 17 Pro in the silver.
Ooh. 17 Pro silver. Okay. And TJ, what do you, you just got your phone. Is it time to return it already?
Well, yeah, I'm continuing the phone saga. I'm going back to iPhone, I think. So I'm doing and I'm going to do a little different this time. I'm going to do an orange phone because I always like having loud phones.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to do the Pro and the 256 gig.
Yeah.
But I used a Google Pixel 9a, which is a 6.3 inch display, and it felt pretty nice, I don't think I need a large, obnoxious phone. I'm not watching videos on my phone.
Right, or downloading videos. I mean, if you watch anything, it just streams, right? So.
Well, and I'm downloading a lot of content, but I'm not watching videos and stuff on my phone, so I really don't need the big display.
Right.
As long as it has a good camera, that's all that matters.
Generally, if I have a video that I want to watch, like on vacation or whatever, where I may not have access to my video collection or whatever, I'll download it to an iPad, not to my phone. And that way, the iPad has a completely, its own storage and it can deal with whatever size file you put on it. But I don't know. Like, I usually have a lot of podcasts and audiobooks, turns out, and a lot of photos. I have a lot of photos in my my setup. So it's a problem when you don't delete anything. You just have all the photos you've ever taken. So.
Never delete, gang.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I use Google Photos, but sometimes I go a while without uploading it and stuff. So I guess I'll just do a little better job of that. But right now I'm only using like 120 gigs out of 512. So I think I'll be fine with 256. Gavin's convinced me. I wasn't convinced until Gavin talked me into it. So if I regret it in a year, I'll blame Gavin.
That's fine. You'll be fine.
This year I'm going to do mine a little different. I'm going to do the Apple upgrade program. The one where you just pay a monthly fee, you get the Apple Care included in it, and then every year you can upgrade if you want to. So that seems to be, I'll just write it off. It's a business expense.
Yeah, it's a write-off.
That's right.
I've done that for the past number of years, and it works well. It really does. When the year rolls around, I don't really even worry about it because pretty much for the same price. It goes up and down a little bit depending on what options you get, but pretty much the same price. You're renting a phone for a year. And if it breaks, it's got the Apple Care, and you can just send it off for $20, $100 or whatever it is and get it fixed. So
yeah, and the only thing I was worried about with that is in America, because we don't believe in freedom, our carriers lock down our phones when you buy them. And Verizon, they have to unlock it. I think it's after like 90 days or 6 months, something like that, because they made a deal with the FCC many, many years ago. So to unlock their phones whenever they sell them, AT&T, and I don't know if T-Mobile works the same way. They lock the phone to their own carrier until it's paid off. And I want to be able to use AT&T and T-Mobile with my phone because I travel a lot and I need to be able to have internet depending on where I am. And if I buy it from AT&T, it does not have that functionality. I think it comes factory unlocked with the update program, but I hope that's not a surprise for me.
I'm pretty sure it does. Mine says no carrier restrictions on it, and I don't think I've ever done anything special.
It's weird because you can't just buy it unlocked. They have you buy it through the carrier, but I feel like it's probably just easier for them, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like when you go to check out, it's like you have to buy it through AT&T, Boost, Verizon, or T-Mobile. You can't just buy an unlocked phone.
Through Apple, you select your carrier if you have an existing line. So they set up the transfer and everything. So when you get it, it just kind of does its thing and magically transfers the number to the right phone and all that good stuff.
Nice.
I have 33,000 photos and 1,500 videos on my phone. So let's see. Anything else after Apple Day? I watched the presentation on 2X after. I completely slipped my mind. I was in a meeting anyway and missed it. But what else do you guys see on there?
I also ordered the Apple Watch 11.
Nice.
So yeah, my current watch is the 5 series. So I think it was time to do the upgrade. And you know what? I use my watch so much, I could justify that easier.
I use my watch a ton. It's probably my favorite Apple product, honestly. The thing is, like the other day, I had it upgraded, right? You got an Apple upgrade, and the battery has gone from lasting... Well, the battery started to degrade on it. So I think that last upgrade did it in because now it's like choking along after a day. It's dying. And it used to last a full 2 days, maybe 2 days and a half. And then now it's down to getting through the day. And
what series do you have?
It's the Ultra 1 or 2. I don't know.
Oh, I have like the Series 5 never really lasted a day. Like it would be like what?
The smaller ones did.
Hours. Yeah. But after a while, it wouldn't even last like through my work hours. So I had to actually turn the always on display off. And now it will last the day, but it's time to upgrade.
So I have 2 watches. One, because I had a Series 6 before that I never retired because I basically didn't want to ding up the nice one. So when I go work outside and mow the lawn, I would wear the work watch, right? And then now it's kind of turned into a watch that I wear. Let's see, this is an Ultra 2. So yeah, when I got this one, I was like, well, I'm going to keep this one around. And it's pretty easy. Like it automatically switches. So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And if one battery's dead, then I just slap the other one on until the battery charges.
So that's a great idea. Instead of like, just have 2 watches on hand and you just swap them.
You got a day watch and a night watch?
Yeah, there you go.
The Ultra ones have all this. I think that the newer series watches have this too, like all the sleeping features that are built into it. Yeah, so those are really cool. And it can track a lot of like your breathing and heart rate and all that.
I don't need all those features because my wife tracks it and lets me know in the morning, how I slept last night. She gives me play-by-play about my sleep. So
she was awake the whole time. It's weird.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's like, honey, I don't have to do this anymore. I have a watch. You don't have to stay up and tell me I'm snoring.
Yeah.
No, I'll let you know.
The watch told me I was in a loud environment last night.
Too bad she doesn't know Home Assistant automation. I'm sure she can automate that. Just yell at you every time you start snoring. Be in real trouble.
Good thing she doesn't listen to this podcast or else I'd be having to set that up.
If she comes to CES, I'll help her.
No.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what I get. I have to make a decision tonight because tomorrow's the pre-order, right? So tomorrow's the button push day, I guess.
8 a.m.
8 a.m. All right. Well, thanks for reminding me. Probably forgot.
Yeah, on the Apple app too, when you pre-ordered, it kind of walked you through everything.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, pick your phone, all your options. Oh, take a look at some accessories. Yeah, they got me. I got the case too.
Yeah.
Right? And then there were even options of, add it to your calendars to remind you tomorrow and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it was a pretty nice experience.
Yep. They have figured out how to take our money. That's
yeah, pretty much.
They make it nice. It's like, yeah, we're gonna take your money. You ready? You ready?
And we're sitting here going, who can give the money the fastest?
Yeah, right. Push the button.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll have to follow on this when we have them back and see what. I wonder what I'm going to end up with. I have no idea. I really keep leaning back towards the little one, the little thin one, the Air, but then again, here's the problem. It's thin, but it's also the first generation of that phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you're never supposed to buy the first generation or the first run, right? There'll be the first run, they'll figure out what's wrong with it, and there'll be a second run that's perfectly fine. So maybe like 6 months, that phone would be great to have, but I don't know. that kind of leans me back over to get the big old orange phone. And TJ, having an orange phone, the first thing I thought, I was like, when I drop this somewhere, I'll be able to find it.
It's going to be so easy to find. That's why I never get black phones, because I go caseless at this point.
Yeah.
And I drop it somewhere, and it's so annoying to try to find it wherever it is. That's why I like the AirPods being white. I kind of wish they were available in different colors, but them being white is fine, because even if they drop on like insulation or something, I could find them most of the time. So, and I've dropped my AirPods in a ton of places.
Well, I know they have the translation feature coming to the new AirPods Pro and AirPods Pro, the previous one. But
yeah,
do you know if they've made the AirPods out of the same super bouncy material that the current ones are made of? So if you drop them, they will shoot across the entire room and end up underneath a piece of furniture that you can't get to. That's amazing. I don't know how they've done that, where those things can hop 10 feet per bounce. It's amazing.
I don't know if it's the same plastic, but supposedly they're different earbuds. They do a better job of staying in your ears, which we were talking about a little bit before the show. Because sometimes the AirPod, the regular AirPod tips, they do not work for me. I have to use foam tips, or else they're always just sliding right out of my ear.
Yeah, I have had some issues with that in the past, and I don't know. I ended up settling on something, but I don't think it's as great as it could be. If you go to the little app, where it's test if this is sealed, it's it's not sealed, you need to do better, and I can't do any better. The other ones are uncomfortable, or they fall out of my ear. So I may have to try those foam ones again, but I remember not liking them very much. The weird silicone ones feel better for me, but they're not as secure as those foam ones that expand into your ear and take up all the space.
I use phone tips from a company called Comply, and the nice part about them is they make tips for all sorts of earbuds, not just the Apple ones, but they'll Beats, everything, right? So I've been using them for years, and I like them. The only thing is that I don't like about them is they wear out and break over time. So you'll buy a 6-pack, and when they wear out and they'll crack, then you just pull them off and replace them. But you squish them, you stick them in your ear, they expand and they hold.
Interesting. I may have to try those again, because the ones I have are getting kind of ragged. I think I pulled them off. I broke the other ones or got tired of, I don't know, something happened to them. And I was like, well, let me try the extra large ones that were sent, and they didn't fit. And I'm like the Three Bears, right? And I'm like, the little ones are too small. The big ones are too big. And the middle ones were just right. And then I didn't have any more middle ones. I think I stole them off the previous generation ones that I have. So I'm kind of really wearing some old ones. So I'm going to have to pick some up one of these days. Anyway, we got a couple of HomeTech headlines today. Not much in the way of news this week post Cedia, but a couple of things have come out. But we do have an interview with Raymond King with the Applied Sensor Co., right? ASC.com. And he makes some really cool sensors. I think, TJ, you've been talking about him for a while. We had a really good sit down and chat with Raymond a couple of weeks back, and we want to bring it here on the show. But first, let's jump into these HomeTech headlines.
Let's do it.
All right, big news from Unify, of course, because no one else seems to be doing anything. They've released a new product called the UNVR Instant. It's an all-in-one device. This thing has a 6-port PoE switch on the back of it, a 1-port gigabit uplink to go to your network, an HDMI port to go out to a TV. Amazing. Who thought that would be useful? And then that's it. It'll hook all your cameras up to it. This up to 30 cameras or something crazy, but 6 out of the PoE ports. And then it works as an NVR camera. Let's see, 15 full HD cameras. This thing is $199. And then you add a hard drive into it, and it may make it more, but depending on the hard drive size you want. But I think this is the camera system to get. There's no question.
Congratulations, Unify. You released an NVR.
A real one.
This is exactly what I need, because I do a lot of small businesses where they just want 3 to 6 cameras, and they want to be able to see it on a monitor somewhere. And you can do that with a $400 camera kit that you buy from literally any other store in the world. And all the cameras just plug into the little NVR, and then you plug your HDMI cable into the NVR, and bada bing, bada boom, you got a camera system. So it's cool to see this finally happen. $200. I mean, that is dirt cheap.
Crazy
for this kind of product.
And $699 for a kit with 4 cameras, right? And a hard drive, terabyte hard drive. I mean,
yeah, and before you would have had to buy a $250 cloud key, which is only 2.5 inch drive. So you have to use the solid state because it has heat problems. So you'd do a maximum 4 terabyte solid state with it. And that was $250 for that device alone.
Right.
And then you had to buy a PoE switch to power the cloud key and then the cameras, which that was another $200 to $400 depending on what you wanted. So, I mean, for $200.
And then you had to buy the cameras.
Right. And the kit isn't a good deal necessarily, but it just makes a camera kit, which is traditionally what you'll find at like Sam's Club and Costco.
Mm-hmm.
You go in there and they have a Raylink 8 camera kit for, $50 and that's what you buy. So this is a good addition. I'm glad to see this.
These are the G5 turret cameras.
Yeah, I think they're like $129 each or something.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So you're not saving any money. I mean, it's literally the same cost, but
you get well, I don't know. It's not really.
It comes all in one
because you how much is adding on a viewport, right?
Well, exactly. That's where the price breakdown really comes in, right? I was just talking about the kit versus the non-kit price.
Yeah, I think it's a great deal either way. I mean, and for, like you said, for small business or anybody who just wants a couple of cameras put up to 15,
like a condo.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Where are you seeing the 15? Because in the thing, this says they support up to 8 2K cameras or 6 4K cameras.
I'm sorry. It says capacity for 6 4K cameras or 15 full HD cameras. So it just depends on.
Okay, so I guess they're doing 1080p instead of 2K then. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, this is great. I need more devices like this. Like the UNVR should just have an HDMI port on it already, and then make me one with PoE as well. I mean, the UNVR is only $300, so It's not far off price wise. It obviously supports a lot more cameras and a lot more hard drives, and I think the real selling point of this too is it's a regular 3.5 inch hard drive.
Right. It's not.
I mean, that's just like you can buy them cheap,
and they don't have the same size restrictions that a 2.5 inch would have, or
there's no like caddy thing you have to buy,
mm-hmm.
and your options are kind of limitless with that. So
yeah, good product, good price. Again, hitting out of the park with these guys. So like that's exciting. I like that. I can think of a number of places that I went in the past and like this would be a perfect fit for what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it, you missed the part of your install thing where you get the kit and you break it out and you put it in. Like the last part of that is you're explaining how to use this oddly put together app that comes with the NVR.
Yeah, and you have like no functionality.
Exactly. It will be interesting to see what else they come out with this year because they seem to be launching new products all the time now.
I just wish they had a roadmap, right? Because I understand it's networking and camera equipment and stuff like that, but like tell me what you're releasing. I want to know. So that way in the future I can plan for it.
Yeah, I don't think they want to do that.
I'm not going to be able to buy it anyway because it's always out of stock. But like I want to be able to know like when you're coming out with a new doorbell or when you're coming out with a color night vision camera maybe.
Right. I don't know if they're going to tell you that, TJ. I don't think you're going to get to know.
They're not.
Man, cool product. Very cool. And it's so small. It's little.
Yeah.
It's just like a little all-in-one piece.
It's a baby.
Very nice. Good job, Unify. Keep up the good work. All right. Let's see. We got a new product from Dolby. Dolby announces Dolby Vision 2 because you just bought your TV and now it's obsolete, right? They've announced the next iteration of the HDR technology, Dolby Vision 2, claiming it's going to enhance picture quality beyond the current HDR standards. Unlike existing HDR technologies, Dolby Vision 2 is said to offer adaptive profiling and adjust brightness and contrast in real time based on the content, the viewer environment at the same time. So it's backwards compatible. So that's good. You don't have to worry about that. But to get it, you will have to get a new TV probably. So throw your other TV in the trash. It's only got Dolby Vision.
This will satisfy 1% of the population, maybe. Everybody I talk to, even when I go to people's house, they're not even using HDR, right? Like it's crazy. They're still watching 1080p content or something like that on,
mm-hmm.
but they brag about their 4K TV and stuff like that, and I'm like, I guess it's nice, I don't know. I run off HTPCs when I use Windows HTPCs, but Microsoft messed up HDR in a recent update. I can't get it to work anymore. I gave up trying, hoping they fix it one day.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, they did something where they added Dolby Vision support or something like that, and it broke everything.
It's probably Dolby Vision 2.
Oh. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? So, I've never used Dolby Vision really, so I can't compare it. So we'll see how Dolby Vision 2 looks.
Yeah,
I probably will never compare that either.
Unless you have the an exact area set up for these types of viewing this kind of content on a TV, like, I don't know, I think it's going to be missed on a lot of people. It is cool that they can do this and like adapt the picture in real time based on maybe this will help, like based on the living environment that is in, like if it's bright, then it'll adjust some of the colors and that kind of thing. That might work, but I don't know, like the best experiences are always those that are like the environment's locked down to always be the same, right? Like a theater. And then the TV has been calibrated and everything for that specific environment. And if anything changes, it's out of spec, but like that's fine. So I don't know. We'll see how this works. We'll see what the video guys say about it when it hits the streets. Hisense is going to be the first TV company to debut the standard. So get a Hisense TV. They're going to feature. I was reading here. They're going to feature a feature called Authentic Motion, which should be interesting.
Is this going to be the new version of something that we turn off at everybody's house?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. It's like, this is going to be the first thing that gets turned off. This Authentic Motion thing. They're going to be it's going to be the world's first creative-driven motion control tool to make scenes feel more authentically cinematic. So
yes, turned off.
Yeah, off. Let's see how that goes. Let's move on here. Yeah, maybe a little bit of follow-up, maybe a little discussion, but supposedly, there's a rant we'll link to, the video rant, that BMW is out to kill Home Assistant integration to, quote, protect security. And we'll link to this video. There is an article too that could accompany it. But the thing is like, I think this happened to me the other day because I have the BMW integrated with Home Assistant. The app just like signed out and didn't work. And then I went back to it and had to log in again, get a new refresh token or whatever, paste it on it, and it's been working since. But as it turns out, that was a deliberate move by BMW to kind of cut off some of the integrations that had been tying to it. So like, I guess Home Assistant actually, the way Home Assistant's integration works is it's like using a generic BMW integration that somebody else maintains. And like, they just bring that into Home Assistant. Maybe this is the way it works. That one is what broke. And like, if I go back and look at what Beamer connected, if I go back and look at what that's doing, they put in there, they've added a generic X user agent. So they added a generic agent to prevent from being blocked. I guess BMW introduced a quota that was killing some of these integrations that were being a little bit too chatty, and did a couple of other little things in this bug push. So I guess I have that because it's been working with the generic user agent. I can't complain, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, it sounds like BMW may want to come down and say, hey, stop doing that.
Yeah, car companies really don't like Home Assistant. I mean, Mazda's killed off the integration. I think there's been a couple others as well. Doesn't and this isn't specifically targeted at Home Assistant. It's just all third-party integrations in general. But I think this is a move in general that car companies are going to start moving towards. And certain things I think are all right paying remote access for. You shouldn't lock basic features behind a paywall. But I pay a monthly fee or yearly fee so I can control my car remotely by starting it and stuff like that. I mean, you have to get that information somehow. So certain stuff is going to have to give.
You already pay for that. Like, it's already a paid thing, like per year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you're already paying for that. This is just like people reverse engineering the API to send the commands to start the car or just check on the fuel. Like right now, I can look at the fuel levels on the cars and I can see one of them's at 71, one of them's at 25. That's kind of nice. I can just look down which car has gas in it, go to that one, start it up and go to it. This is kind of cool. There's a link to labs.bmw.com, and there's a thing in there about, this is the headline, your BMW now speaking with Home Assistant. And it goes through all like these integrations, I guess, that BMW is trying to do within their app to integrate with Home Assistant. So this could be a cool option if they ever come out with it. Although it's been my experience that the manufacturer's APIs and integrations are much more limited is what you can do, because they don't want you to do, don't touch your car that way. It's like, don't do that. But the Home Assistant integrations are actually, they expose a little bit more information that they find within those API calls. So that's kind of nice.
I wish they would just, if you don't want Home Assistant using, release your own Home Assistant add-on then.
Yeah.
Or add-ons for various things. Then you'll have a lot more happy people.
It seems like that's what they want to do. This looks like it's available maybe in Germany or something. I don't know. I'm not going to sign up for it. So, because what I have is working right now, and probably will continue working for until they completely kill away. Then I'll go look at this. But yeah, we'll put a link to this in the show notes too. So when that happens, I can go back and find the show we talked about this on.
Already ready for you.
Yeah, exactly. This does look pretty cool. Like one of the things they have is send notifications to your BMW, and it shows like a little like message at the top that says, "My home, motion in your garden," or you can open and close the garage door, directly from buttons on the dash. That's kind of nice. Nothing you can't do within the Home Assistant. They have a CarPlay app, and you can send commands off and view statuses through that thing. I was playing around with that the other day. I don't know. This is like a native thing. Looks like it's integrated directly with their, like you don't have to have a phone connected or anything like that. That's kind of nice. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. We'll see. Anyway, all the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found over on our show notes, HomeTech.fm/542. All right, let's jump into our interview here with Raymond King, again with Applied Sensor. He's got some really interesting fabric-based sensors, I guess is the best way to describe them. Let's go ahead and jump in the interview with Raymond King. Hi, Raymond. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us here on the show. As we always do, I just want to kind of give it a brief personal introduction. Like, where did you start ASC, and how did you start ASC? But like, what brought you to this? Like, how did you get to working with electronics and this type of product?
Yeah. Well, my short answer is this is all by mistake.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Oh wait, hold on. Immediately edit that one out. No. So yeah, my name is Raymond. Raymond King. I've been the founder of and CEO of ASC for about 2.5 years, and I'll explain a little about like where I come from, where I am, and how I got here. So I live in Woodinville, Washington, which is like 45 minutes northeast of Seattle. Apparently, it's really well known for wines, but I'm not a big wine person. But I have a PhD in robotics. Well, technically mechanical engineering, but it was focused in robotics. I was a researcher at Meta on their like VR and AR gloves and wristbands and stuff. So I was, that's a prelude into, how I got into smart textiles kind of thing, which we'll have to define later. And, but got laid off during their first unfortunate round of layoffs, was somewhat spiteful about it and kind of decided like, what am I going to do? Founded a company, got spiteful, a little bit of soul searching, founded a company, and then kind of worked my way into, and there's a lot, I'm going to give a big gap here, and then ended up making a Kickstarter for, and this is how I got it. This is why I said it was a mistake or an accident. It was an accident, happy accident. There we go. How I got into the IoT space. Because the first thing I made a Kickstarter using smart textiles, pressure sensors for a floor mat. And I'd still technically sell it, the TrampleTech blue one. And all it did was basically, if you remember the old clapper, I wish I remember the jingle, right? Clap on, clap off. Right?
Yep.
I want a smart version of that nowadays. They need to make a new version.
They do. I've got to look it up a couple of times. So I was like, okay, like maybe there's value in something that's so simple. No app, no Wi-Fi, no nothing, right? Like it's just, but still wireless kind of thing, right? That like you can use it at a distance. And so I made a Bluetooth, which is why it's called TrampleTech Blue, which is basically, I guess the easiest way to describe it now is basically like the stomper, right? Like you step on it, it connects to the Bluetooth socket that is paired to nearby, turns on, step on it again, turns off. There's a couple other modes too, but I was like, there must be, if people can sell the clapper, there must be some sort of market here for this, which maybe I'll get into later. Like I started entrepreneurship with no head on, I feel like, right? I've read so many books since, and it's just like, Raymond, you did
everything wrong here. Yeah.
Everything wrong. It's like you and I, we were just talking about the Apollo guys a bit too, because they were like, they made a thing and we're like, or they made something for themselves and then they like shared it and people were like, hey, I want that kind of thing. Like I made a thing because like, I really love the tech and we'll talk about it later kind of thing. But I fell in love with the technology and I was like, I'm gonna make a hammer and then go look for some nails. And like every entrepreneur book is like, what are you doing? Like, that's like number one failure criteria is like you make something and then try to figure it out kind of thing. But through the fact that I made that, the Kickstarter was pretty small. It was like less than $10,000 or whatever. Developed it, made it, put it out there. Started getting feedback, and people were like, "Hey, like it's great that this turns on a socket nearby, but like, can it turn on something else in my house?" kind of thing. And I was like, "I don't know." And then I was like, probably because I've been doing this about 2.5 years. And about 1.5 years ago, after it was developed, somebody was like, "Have you ever heard of Home Assistant?" And I was like, "Home Assistant?" I was like, "I have Google Home, and like I have a couple of things connected to it or whatever." And then like, yeah, through Home Assistant, and then ESP Home that we talked about a little bit before we started, kind of like I kind of fell into like, oh, like there's a real ecosystem and like lots of people who are super interested in like new technology and stuff like that here. And, the more I joined the Reddits and we haven't even talked about how you guys ended up finding me, because I'm a pretty small player kind of thing, smaller than Apollo. But that was my slow like journey into like, okay, now I'm here at Home Assistant and I'm making, and that feedback from the floor mats is obviously what led into the sleep mat, the sleep pressure sensor too. So I'm gonna stop there because I will ramble all day.
I know, it makes sense.
We'll get into it a little bit more in a bit, but what I'm curious about is when you went from like the Bluetooth, because you sent me the Trample Tech and the Slumber Tech.
Yeah.
When you went from that transition of being controlled only to like a Bluetooth outlet to ESP Home capability, did you have to change the hardware that was inside of the product, or was it you were already using it and basically just had to change the software, the firmware?
I just changed the firmware because I'm using and we talked a little bit about this on the Discord, right? That I'm using an ESP32C3 chip, and then we talked about getting Zigbee into it because that only a C3 chip only does Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I just changed the firmware from the C3 chip that I have to just load in ESP Home, which is compatible with C3, an ESP32C3. But a C6 is the next upgrade, basically. That again, I've really enjoyed the Apollo guys, so I'm gonna keep bringing them up. But like when I chatted with them, they were like, yeah, we're moving all of our C3s to C6s, kind of thing, because it has Zigbee in it, because it has Thread, right? There's just more you can do with it than a C3, and they're relatively similar in cost as well. So, but yes, I didn't have to change, so I'm still using C3s. But yeah, I literally just changed the firmware because it has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi capability. So it was relatively easy to make that switch. No hardware changes. It's actually the same, right? Like, well, I sent you the one first with the socket, and right then you just plug it in, and then you just load a different firmware, and then you're on the Wi-Fi kind of thing. So yeah, totally same hardware, same kit.
So I know you said you're a small team. Tell us, but it seems like you have a lot. You're surrounded by a number of people helping you out. And honestly, I was looking at the list, and it's a very decorated bunch of guys. Like a lot of certifications, a lot of experience. Can you tell us a bit about the team?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of those, I would say, are part-time. They're important parts of a lot of advising. I would say, like, I do all the technical work kind of thing, and that is a ton of advising, on like helping me prioritize, the types of things on the business side. Because like, if you let me play all day, like I will play with the tech all day. And I'm having a good week this week because I have been trying to develop something new. We'll probably get into later, around a more dense arrays kind of thing. But I love that, and I love spending time in that space. But there's a bunch of stuff in business that you have to do as well. So like the two of them are kind of, well, I'll be honest. One of them is my dad. That's like, if you follow up the names on that, one of them, but he's an electrical engineer. Like literally, I've spent all morning with him this morning with reviewing some of the new designs kind of thing that I've been putting together, which is awesome. Like it's very easy to get design help for electronics with him. And then some partner that he has is kind of a long-term business partner that he has as well. And the other two who actually met at CEDIA, so I think on there is Lou Brown and Colin Burke-McClure, and they are. Lou used to be the founder and president, or co-founder and president of Mios, if you know what Mios is. And so like they was sold a while ago, and I met him and Lou and Colin at CEDIA last year because I was there at their like innovation corner. All 5 or 6 of us. I was next to that. I know you guys were at CEDIA, I think last year. I was next to the booth that had really flat sockets, which was like super popular. I couldn't believe how many people.
Is it the ones where you change out like for like motion detection and like humidity and stuff like that, or is it a different one?
No, they were like flush wall sockets.
They're flush in, yeah. There's like,
oh yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, so you guys probably walked right by me. Anyways,
yeah, probably did.
But I met them at CEDIA, and we just got to talking, and they have a site consulting group kind of thing, and they so they consult with me kind of again on a lot of the business stuff and help me with prioritizing deals, and because they were in the home automation space for such a long time as well through Mios, right? They have a lot of connections and discussions that they can have about like this is great. These are the good directions, and these are the people that we know that could give you a bit of feedback on what you're making and what you're building kind of thing. And then I have a part-time CMO in there, which is a longtime friend who helps me with a bit of my marketing. And there's another woman there who's wonderful. Her name is Mary. we actually haven't connected for quite a while. We worked together previously at Meta for a long time, and she's still up on the website because we do chat periodically still on design ideas because she's a soft goods expert, and it's a skill I'm continuing to learn because I am more on the electronics and the firmware and the software and putting together the hardware, but learning to like embroider and learning kind of like the what you should and shouldn't do when you actually put things into textiles is that's something that she can be really helpful for me at the time. So
interesting.
There's a kind of a big group of advisors, but I do 90% of all the work.
Interesting. Okay. We got to pause here because you've mentioned the products a couple of times. You mentioned like the floor mat you started with. But okay, so what does ASC what does ASC actually offer? I just want to start there because like what's your product line look like right now, and talk to us a little bit more about the like how the textile thing works too, because that seems to be a big part of it.
Yeah, maybe. We really just dived in. I put a lot of like little nuggets for you guys to pull at later, kind of thing. Because like I said, I will talk all day if you let me go, and it's more fun to have a conversation. So, by the ASC, so Applied Sensor Co. And again, it is such a generic name because I happen to have access to ASC.com, through a sequence of events. So if you go to ASC.com, that is the domain that I use for my company, which is pretty cool. A lot of people, just happen to have access to it kind of thing. So, but it's pretty generic because my general goal is kind of change or any place where it makes sense, because we'll probably get into this. There are so many cool sensors out here, and I know you guys know most of them, right? They're, LiDAR and millimeter wave is a really great one for presence, and, even beam braking and motion sensors. Cameras obviously being a great one. There's so many different sensors that you can use out there to accomplish different things, but they're all good at different times for different places, kind of thing. A place where you might use a camera, but if you get a privacy concern, now you can't use that. So you got to use a different one, right? But so maybe you can use, a LiDAR or a sound or a motion sensor to solve whatever problem. You should always pick the sensor that makes the most sense for what you're trying to do, and it's probably the cheapest, right? Because LiDAR cameras can be really expensive. So if you don't need it, don't use it. So my goal as a company, right, is trying to solve problems around like where would the best sensor be in a textile that has a unique advantage over any of the other ones, right? And for me, I've landed into like pressure sensors being kind of my first place where I'm going. So you can sense other things with textiles. So the company itself is kind of focused around what problems can we solve with smart textiles that you can't solve another way, or would be better solved using textiles, kind of thing, or at least kind of a soft. Because the fact is, right, we're all wearing clothes. I can see you all, right? You're sitting in a chair that probably has textiles on it, right?
This is AI.
Right. Like the things that you wear and the things that you touch all day, like they're all textiles, right? Because they're soft, they're comfortable, kind of thing, right? And like when you put in like hard electronics into something, like it's no longer like comfortable, and let alone if you're wearing it, but also even if you're just brushing up against it, like, I don't know, I guess I prefer carpet over like hardwood most of the time, kind of thing. But it's that type of like putting the sensors in places that are unique and new and interesting, that are not, that are soft, because we come into contact with so many soft textiles throughout the day. So I should probably tell you what it is. So go, because I'll keep chatting. Keep going. Go.
Well, and what I like about the smart textiles too is that it's like a tangible thing, right? Because like you can put motion sensors or water leak sensors and stuff around your house, but you really don't like interact with them, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're changing the batteries or you're programming it or something like that. But when it comes to a textile, like you want it to look nice and you want it to be like a presentable thing. And I have, like I said, I have the mat and I have the bed mat as well. And they just look like normal things. Like they don't look like they're electronics, minus the end where the USB plugs into. And so it's really nice to have that, because it's like, I like electronics that just blend in. And I think that is the ultimate blend in. Like it just looks like a floor mat or it looks like a bed mat, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing the like on your website, I'm looking around, I'm seeing the floor mat, I guess, wired up in a number of examples of where to put it. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then it looks like you also have the bed sensor, which also looks like it looks similar, right? It looks bigger, maybe.
It is bigger.
Okay, and then
And different materials, so it's not as
Yep.
it's not like the clothy material. It's more of a vinyl or whatever material.
But
that
that's
is.
not your final material yet, though, right? From what I see, you're still working on that. Yes.
It is not. No.
okay, so I guess walk us through how. All right, let's start with the mat itself.
Yeah.
Why a textile? I guess.
Yeah.
And then how do you? I mean, I'm looking at the website. You have this little machine there. It looks like something that sews things. So I'm going to guess it's a sewing machine. Like, how do you sew electronics into a piece of fabric?
Yeah. No, this is I feel like this now the second time you've asked me, please tell me about your products. And like as the worst CEO ever.
We'll get there
I keep
one day.
being like, let me tell you about something else completely.
We do way worse. We do way worse normally. So don't worry.
Yeah.
No. So okay. Because the first thing I made was the Trample Tech mat. Let's talk a bit about it. So I'm super I learned about what is called technical embroidery, and we'll get into smart textiles and what that means as well. So technical embroidery, and I always kind of like pause or think about it when I say technical embroidery, because the first things are like, oh, you embroider stuff like kittens and butterflies.
Can I put my logo on this hat?
Exactly, yeah. Right. And it's like, well, the answer is yes, but like the biggest difference is technical embroidery instead of using like regular threads, right? There are things such as conductive threads, and you can get conductive textiles. More likely, they're conductive plastics, right, that are infused with usually carbon or other things that are, they can get more complicated, right, that you can stitch together. I guess the bare minimum is they need to be pierceable by a needle kind of thing, which can actually get to a pretty thick material and relatively stiff material as well. I don't pierce circuit boards. That does not work well. Let me tell you, my machine is not like it when that mistake happens. But so I use all these same embroidery techniques typically, and I use what you're seeing on the website is my embroidery machine that has a big open workspace, so I can make the mats on it. And so then the smart textile aspect of it. So again, technical embroidery is basically just the use of conductive materials that you combine together. And if they're flexible, so they can be pierced by a needle, right, and then you end up with this lovely afterwards as electronics that are connected together in kind of a textile like form factor kind of thing, a nice soft textile form factor. And the smart textile part of it, right, is basically like my definition of smart textiles is like I would say if you have a piece of cotton and you draw one, or you stitch down like one thing of conductive thread, I would call that a smart textile, because now you could connect two things on the other end to an electronic. You could connect a battery across it or something. You could finish some sort of signal across it. Now, obviously, there's a lot more that you can get more complicated in smart textiles, right? There's lots of examples out there of jackets and shirts and stuff that have like light up LEDs, or there's a lot of companies out there that have like breathing shirts or heart rate monitors and stuff like that you can that are much more integrated with electronics. And I'm only one technique for making smart textiles. There are lots of different techniques other than technical embroidery. So again, you've asked me, what does my product do? And I've said nothing about it.
Well, no, now you've confused me. So, all right, are you sewing the circuits, or are the circuits built into the material that you're sewing?
So I actually turn the surface area into a sensor. So like I manufacture everything myself here. So like the sensors I build from the materials that I have kind of thing. The only thing that I don't build myself right now is the circuit board, because you can stitch in a circuit board, because if you make vias big enough for a needle to pierce through, and you're very careful with your design. I mean, the nice part about a technical embroidery machine is it's or just a bigger embroidery machine is it's kind of like if you're familiar with a CNC machine is.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
Right. It is basically a CNC machine. So it's very precise to sometimes like sub-millimeter accuracy. So as long as I design things that say, hey, there's going to be, make sure you put a stitch right here, because that's where the whole of the circuit board is going to be. Well, if it's a big enough via and you have a big pad around the outside kind of thing, and you stitch through that hole several times with conductive thread, well, you've just connected your circuit board to a thread that now you can run anywhere along your textile to either connect to something else, or in my case, I actually end up arranging the materials inside kind of thing with different patterns to kind of change the properties of the in my case, pressure sensors, right? So like further away things has a different response than having things really close together. But all those are kind of the designs that I put together to make the pressure sensors more. The difference between the floor mat one is the weights that you expect to put on that are very different than the weights that you expect to put on a bed. So they are designed, the sensors themselves and the technical embroidery designs are different.
Gotcha.
So, but then they do stitch into that circuit board. And then from that circuit board, then that's where the ESP32 sits, and that's where then you're into Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So now you're connected up to the world. So
Interesting.
yeah,
The circuit board's in there, I get it, but
Yep.
and then you have the ability to have some kind of like sewing material that can conduct electricity, and that gives you the ability to hook up within sensors that are built into the material itself.
So, without giving everything away of exactly how I do, but I feel like there's a gap here.
Hey, if it's a trade secret, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just confused to how this works, because this little needle, I've been watching it the entire time. It's like it's building something, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and there's obviously there are layers in there that you're not seeing. So,
Okay.
yeah, that is just what you're seeing on the website is me stitching the beginning of it, kind of like that. So actually, the what it's stitching down is the outline of where I'm going to put the circuit board.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that way it's registered. Then now the circuit board has the machine knows what the circuit board is. So that way when I go back and stitch it, it'll stitch it down the right spot.
Gotcha. Okay.
And connect in. So I'll maybe answer two questions you have, which is like like when you actually the only hard part of the whole thing is that circuit board. And the reason the rest of it is nice flexible is one, I used to work on wearables because and one day maybe I'll work on wearables again. And same technology type of thing, like super cool. Which is, again, I did the bad thing as an entrepreneur. I went for the technology that I thought was super cool and then tried to make something out of it. And so I wanted, actually, when I started the company, I was like, I'm going to make wearables or whatever. And then like just working on it for like 8 years, I was like, you need so much time and money and expertise. And I was like, I'm not going to make wearables. But what is something that is valuable? So all the benefits of wearable and then using this technique right there, it's soft, it's flexible. It's quite durable, right? We'll get into the fact that I've been using it underneath a car tire for the past like year and a half, and it still works, kind of thing. It's comparably cheap to make, right? There's a lot of textile factories out there that do this type of work, kind of thing. So you can do it at similar types of price points at volume that you can do like circuit. I'm trying to think of like screen printing and stuff like that, like at high enough volume. So like it's a well manufactured. I'm not using anything special necessarily. Like this is a regular embroidery machine, which there are probably millions in the world, kind of thing. It's just the difference is my designs aren't very pretty because they're very functional, and I'm using conductive threads and conductive materials instead of using like cotton and nylon and polyester or whatever.
Gotcha.
So they're flexible, they're durable, they can be very inexpensive.
Can you wash these out? Like it's something you walk on. Can I wash it off?
And so my ones have a protective plastic like inner layer to keep, because the sensor itself, I wouldn't wash these because there's electronics in them that aren't completely, I went back and forth between whether or not to make it completely sealed. And then in theory, you could wash it. I don't, but they're right now they're floor mats kind of thing.
Spot clean it. Yeah.
You can easily you wouldn't have no problem if you dunked it in water, which is kind of like I don't remember all the different IP ratings or whatever, or the PI, I can't remember what it's called. Like,
yeah.
But off the top of my head, but like one of them, like the lowest one is like, can it handle a splash kind of thing, right? And it's like they're really sad what the really low ones are, and I leaned on just being able to connect and disconnect at the port itself, kind of thing. So that way you could choose how long you wanted of a wire. But it does mean that water can get into that point. But that's the only place. Everything, the whole rest of the thing is waterproof, kind of thing.
Yeah. I was just thinking like if something got on the top of it, your car tire. The picture. It was funny. You were talking about that. I was looking at the picture. I'm like, well, what if there's some dirt on your tire and you want to like clean it off or something? So
I mean, I live in the Seattle area, right? So like in the wintertime, it rains a lot. So like this thing gets soaked.
Yeah.
When in the wintertime, because we're rolling in with like soaking wet tires, kind of thing, and it keeps working. So so that's good.
Okay.
But I did this. I'm still trying to decide the exact use case where somebody might be like, hey, I want this to be completely waterproof. I want to put it under the water. I don't know why. Right. And then I would seal in a cable to the end of it. And then that would seal all the electronics off.
Right.
And it would be fully encased and you wouldn't be able to get anything into the side of it. But I haven't done that because I haven't.
Nobody's had the use case for it or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I could think of is like if you wanted to like keep it outside or something like that. But even
Yeah.
then, it's like we could keep it outside, but our porch is covered, and so like we wouldn't get direct rain on, but we'd obviously get moisture and stuff like that from weather and everything else. So
It's just it's like you would seal that up at the device itself. You'd have like a 10-foot cable off of it, and then like there's certain soil moisture sensors Gavin has shared with us that have kind of the same. See, it was going to come up that have that same technique where the moisture sensor has just a hard cord in it, and you just run that to wherever the little brain sensor is. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I haven't done that, but it's only because right now, and I put them outside in the rain, Seattle rain. So it's funny. One of the things, TJ is in my Discord, and he was like, "What can you use this for?" kind of thing. And one of the most interesting, I feel like kind of like the silliest niche use cases of it actually is as a pressure sensor for triggering like Halloween automations.
Yep.
Kind of thing, right? Because it's essentially, and I guess maybe I'll like describe it right. It's roughly it's a little under 2 feet wide, and it's about 15 inches, about 2 feet long and about 15 inches across, kind of thing. And it is a giant button. Right? It's just one big button. Like it can't tell. And depending on where you're on the website, like there's some stuff about arrays and stuff like that. But it is just a big floor button, kind of thing. So if anybody steps on it, especially around like Halloween time, and it was out in the rain and stuff like that, and actually it's related to how much pressure is on it, and it's a little bit different than weight in the sense that like if you have a heavy thing in a very small area, then it might cause one type of signal. But if you actually had a really light thing over the whole area, signal might be bigger. Well, the problem was the top mats were getting wet, and then they were all keeping that moisture. And then so the whole mat now was pressing down, and it had trouble triggering on people because the whole thing was wet. And I actually had to solve that problem by adding some additional stuff kind of inside of it. So that way that just the weight of the water in the mat wouldn't trigger the mat itself, kind of thing. So I think I've solved that outside problem. But again, it's not fully waterproof. So again,
it's not meant to be, but you could for a little bit at least.
Yeah, and
I plan on using mine for Halloween. So like I'm gonna put it on like the sidewalk coming up to it. We usually don't get rain or anything during Halloween, but we could get like a light rain or something like that. And I don't have any problems leaving it out there for just a day or something like that, a couple hours.
It looks like a mat. Yeah.
And as much as I appreciate the compliment of the idea of like, it kind of just blends in with the environment, other than the cord comes out of it, kind of thing. That like one of the biggest problems I had, people were like, does it come in any other colors or like sizes than like gray and black, kind of thing? And like one guy bought it, and I was like, hey, you could use it like here or there or whatever, because he was like, I bought a couple because I was super interested about the idea or whatever. And I was like, oh, you could put it here or there. And he could kind of like, the last email he sent back to me about it was like, yeah, the wife's not going to like that.
The design committee overruled. Yeah,
that's going to get immediately vetoed, because it was like, black or gray mat, and kind of, it just stood out too much, kind of thing. So I think at like a back door or sometimes like a front door, it's more possible because it's a semi-rugged looking mat.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people put it under other mats. I was
gonna say, I see the pictures. They're not always the mat. Like it's hidden away underneath something else. So that makes sense.
Well, and that's what I've done for mine, right? Because I don't have a lot of use cases for the trample tech, because a lot of our stuff is based off motion or it's based off presence. But ours has ended up in the kitchen right in front of the sink.
Yep.
And what I've done is just take some binder clips and I've attached it to another mat. And so it's underneath. It's basically sandwiched in between two different mats. So we have a decorative mat that's on top. We have the trample tech underneath it, and then we have some kind of like soft step mat underneath it. And I've just taken some binder clips and attached it so that way it doesn't move around or anything. But you have no idea it's there, minus the cord coming out of it, which it's next to our cabinet, so we're able to kind of hide and condense that a little bit so it's not as noticeable. But I think it's one of those things that nobody would even know it's there until it activates something. And then they would probably just be amazed that it's activated something.
Millimeter wave has gotten so good for presence and stuff. And like usually when I chat with people, or I'm trying to get people interested, and they're like, "What's it for?" And I was like, "It's very specific presence sensing in a very specific spot that you really want high accuracy for it." Because like millimeter wave is great. And but it does still sometimes have false positives. And if you really want something to happen, like the second,
it has ghosting.
So it's a wonderful tech. I think it's actually as I said earlier, right, that like use a sensor that makes the most sense for you. And especially if you have like multiple things you wanted to do, like I can only do one very specific spot, but there's, I can't remember if you made a comment or not, TJ, there was, walking up to a spot and then having it activate. And I think sync, because that's something that that Reed from Smart Home Solver did. That was kind of what his big thing was, what he was showing being used for, that it turning on specific little light. He's all got all the smart lights in his and dangling in his room for his kitchen or whatever, but the one directly over top of the sink gets brighter if somebody's at the sink, right? And the other ones don't change at all.
That's what we've done with ours. That if we step up to the kitchen sink, then the under cabinet lights get brighter, and then if we step off of it, they dim back to what they were before.
Oh yeah.
And I think the same, a lot of people who have used it have been like, yeah, I did the same thing in my workbench, right? There's a spot in my workbench. And the one that I do not suggest people do, because this particular person they actually blew the fuse that's inside, because they were actually using like the Bluetooth version of the device. But they do a lot of work in their garage. So they're always working on cars and bikes. They've got a buffer and a grinder, right, for like fixing things. And so basically they just wanted, because their hands are greasy, they've got stuff in it, right? Sometimes they're holding a heavy part, and they wanted to walk up to the grinder, because there's only one thing you do when you're in front of a grinder. You want the grinder to turn on because you're grinding or buffing something, and then you walk away, kind of thing. So like he literally just has one, and he has it under like he's got like a garage foam pad stuff or whatever, right? So those like little like kind of jigsaw puzzle like foam pads. It just has it hidden underneath there, and you walk up to it, and he's holding the device. It turns on. He grinds or buffs whatever part of it that he needs, and then he like walks away, kind of thing. And you could probably do that with like a motion sensor or a presence sensor, but there's a very specific, like, you don't want that to turn on if you're not there, like at all, kind of thing. And I think he has really appreciated the very like the preciseness of like, I only want this one thing to happen and never trigger falsely any other time. And he's been using it, I think, now for like a year or so, and he's like, yeah, it's never made a mistake for me, kind of thing. So
that's good. That's good. That's a lot of trust there.
Yeah, but he blew the fuse.
OSHA is like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I need to turn on my saw every time I walk into my shop.
Can I use it on a bandsaw? I would love that. Use it on a bandsaw.
Yeah,
it's automatic bandsaw.
Yeah.
So we talked about your floor button here, but let's talk about the bed button. This is, I guess, the same idea.
Yes.
So I'm looking at it. It looks like you have it placed, like in the images, it looks like you placed this under the mattress. Is there any reason that you do that, or you would like, or is it just uncomfortable to be under like a pillow top or something like that?
There are a lot of different solutions to this space of like measuring somebody when they're in and out of bed, kind of thing. And I think the best one I've seen, I think ever, is somebody has like a tilt sensor on a toothpick on like glued underneath their like slat underneath their bed or whatever. Because when you get in the bed, the slat flattens down a little bit and it changes the tilt.
Oh, yeah.
And
yep.
He's like, it's never gone wrong. And I was like, that's freaking genius, kind of thing, right? So there's so many ways to solve this. But so yeah, you could put it on top. There are some things out there that you can put on top. But yeah, I just don't. It's somewhat crinkly because it does have a protective plastic on it, right, to make it waterproof. And I just don't think it'd be very comfortable, and then slightly unsightly, kind of thing as well.
Okay.
And you could do the same thing with a pillow. I guess you could put it in a pillow, but then you'd have a cord running off your pillow. I will say that all the devices are capable of running off a battery. They're just not battery optimized, right? So you could plug in any USB like power supply in them and they would run. But because they're not optimized, right, you, depending on where it is, and Wi-Fi is a big sucker of power, that you could end up, and they're constant, like they don't, some of these devices, like they only turn on when you get on them. Mm-hmm. But mine is, because it's resistive based, and I'm trying to dump out information kind of constantly, so that way you can go back and actually track certain things that happen over specific times and not make a mistake. You can have a false, some of those other pressure systems, when you get on it, is actually when you physically finish the connection, and then the power goes to the circuit. So they last forever, because you're the one, when nothing's on it, then the circuit doesn't complete. So the battery's doing absolutely nothing. But it has to be on for long enough that it triggers and turns on the system and then sends that signal off or whatever, right? And if it happens super fast, or, sometimes it just misses and it doesn't happen at all. So in my case, though, I'm constantly sending off data.
You're just rechecking. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's constantly checking because it needs to, that's just how it operates. But because of that, it can drain battery pretty quick. So even a pretty thoughtful brick of USB power, might only last like 2 weeks or something like that. So because of the cord, it's thought of like, well, if you put it under, like on top of your bed, or if you put it in the pillow, I was like, those are things you change. And, you might get an unsightly cord, or especially if you got young kids or whatever, right? They might come in and pull it out and be like, what's this? Or play with it or move. My kids want to do pillow fights on my own bed kind of thing, right? And then they're tossing stuff off or whatever, right? So the nice part about it is, other than the fact that it doesn't have a pretty, like the reason that it's not finished is because it doesn't have a cover. In my opinion, that's like the last, like, it just kind of looks like, and I've got mixed reviews on whether or not the finishing plastic is okay, but it hides for 99% of the time you ever own it, kind of thing, like underneath.
Right.
And it's completely tucked away. You can't see it, right? You usually have a power supply nearby, so you plug it in once, kind of thing, and then it just is sitting there. And it's definitely, that hiddenness is why it goes underneath the mattress. Like I said, super long-winded answer, but I hope that, like, there are so many other options that you could place this in for bed presence, kind of thing. And there's so many other solutions for bed presence, and I think they're all really cool and awesome. And I'm just, if there's a unique situation where you can't use one of those other sensors.
Was it relatively easy to go from the floor mat to the bed sensor? Because to me, like, as an outsider, it seems like it's basically the same concept. Was there any like vast differences that you had to account for when you went to the bed sensor compared to the floor mat? Obviously, durability with the floor mat would be more important than the bed sensor because you're stepping on it and hypothetically driving a car on it and all this good stuff. But was there a big change in that regard?
Just from the when I made the HomeTech Blue, it was designed to be as sensitive enough that if you put like a package on it, because one of the applications that I considered, and I think I have a TikTok about it or something, I'm sure, when I was doing more content, if somebody put a package on it, right, and for whatever reason you can't have a Ring doorbell, I don't know why, you live in Germany or whatever, right, or you don't want one because you just hate cameras or you hate Ring or whatever, that like, what are the other ways that you can get, a notification that a package is at your door, kind of thing. So I wanted to be light enough, sensitive enough that it would be able to register like a 2 or 3 pound package if it was on it, kind of thing, right? And a lot of people do use it for pets as well, and pets, especially like cats and stuff, can be a lot smaller, right? And that's probably the most common use case of this, is people putting it outside their front door or their back door or whatever, and like their pet comes up to the door and is like sitting there, but they can't see it, they don't know, and then like it's connected to their home assistant, and then the Alexas or whatever speaker they've got is like, the dog is outside, kind of
the
thing.
cat wants in, yeah.
Exactly. And
that is a good use case. I didn't think about that. That'd be great for our use, because our dog always goes outside, and we have a fenced-in yard, so we just let him out there. Yeah. But sometimes he's just sitting at the back door waiting to get in, and it's like, oh, I didn't know you were there.
Yep. Some people have automatic like dog doors kind of thing as well, and they can use it to trigger that. But you have to be smart, because you don't want a raccoon to trigger it.
I was going to say, so can raccoons.
So there's a little bit of like, and I think that particular person has a home assistant they've got in, and like, during certain times of day, like, because they have access and control over the smart dog door kind of thing. So they can only be turned on at certain times, and they've got full control of that. But if it's an okay time, then they both activate, kind of thing, right? It enables the dog to step on it, and then it but there are other companies, I don't remember off the top of my head, that do exactly that, where there's like dog collars for dog doors kind of thing. But I don't think those can integrate to your home assistant, which obviously is what you want to do with any smart dog door. So I wanted it to be sensitive enough that you could get small dogs and packages and things like that. So the biggest difference, right, is now that you're going under a bed, well, now you not only have the weight of a person and the weight of a mattress, kind of thing. And that did take me, I would say it's mostly the same design, but it did take me a lot of iteration to kind of change the sensitivity level to have a larger swing of voltage change when it's the mattress is already on it and then a person gets on it. And I think it ended up doing pretty good. Like, for better or worse, right? Like, I can see if my cat gets on my bed. And if I'm not careful, because we talked a little about before we started, like the auto calibration, if you're not careful with the settings, because you can adjust how sensitive it is, and also about a lot of the calibration settings you can do, it'll try to calibrate to like the dog or the cat instead of to you. And then suddenly, then the cat's triggering it instead of you triggering it. You would also trigger it, because it always would trigger for something heavy. But luckily, I've for better or worse, for the Slumber Tech, there's so many diagnostic inside of a Home Assistant, right in the diagnostic settings section. There's way too many settings in there. I have like a 40-minute video of just me talking through the algorithm and what each setting does if somebody really wants to go in there. But my goal obviously is like, I don't know if TJ, if you had to even adjust any of those, like at all, because my goal is to just be a plug and play. And if you have a unique setup then you can go in and play with those.
Yeah, I think yours was the easiest. So I only have your bed sensor, and then I have one from another company called Elevated Sensors.
Yep.
Similar concept, everything else. They actually do a different design. But the problem with theirs, when I received it, it was that my mattress was too heavy, and they had to actually update the firmware in order to support the heavier mattress because the range that it could detect in was not big enough.
Yep.
But yours did not have that problem. It just worked right out of the box. And so that part was relatively easy because I did the auto calibration. I think I did it twice, because maybe I just messed up the first time or something like that. But after I did the auto calibration, there was no other settings. I didn't mess with anything else at all. It works just the way it is.
Yeah, that's the goal. I think the only thing that I will be changing soon, because it's been a while since I did a firmware update, is if you don't sleep in your bed for a couple of days, kind of thing, then there's a setting in there which is kind of like, how big of the signal change does it need to be before it will try to auto calibrate to it? And I think I'm going to increase that a bit more, so that way it doesn't. Because I've seen people's, people who reached out to me and been like, hey, like I'm not home, but like it's triggering, like what's going on, kind of thing. And I go and they share the data with me, and I can go and look and be like, yeah, it's calibrated to your noise because that signal was small enough. There was some sort of something that it started to calibrate to. But I think other than that, yeah, it's been pretty. If you're there every day, I don't think people typically have a problem with that one. But that's the only thing right now where I'm like, oh, I need to change that setting, in the next firmware update, which is a pretty small change. It's just, and for a lot of people, it doesn't make it like it's fine the way it is, but it's for some people, it's just a little bit on the light side that it needs to be increased.
You've mentioned a few times data collection.
Yep.
Right. These devices are collecting data. I just want to let people know it's local data collection, just into Home Assistant. You're not sending it anywhere. But what kind of data is it collecting that you can use to make the product better and stuff?
Yeah. No. So yes. So there is, and what you said is true. It is local data collection. I do ask that people send me the data so I can look at it for diagnostic purposes, kind of thing. But there is a button in the settings. When you go to put the firmware on it, I don't know if I want to get into the fact that I don't use the easiest way to do Wi-Fi credentialing, and for better or worse, because there is an easy way to do it. And I actually have people download the firmware directly into the device. And during that page, when you're doing that, there's a big banner there, hopefully, that people see, which is like, the defaultly you're sending data to me. If you don't want to, send it off. And then it's local only. I can't see it. I don't even know it's there. I don't even know you own it, kind of thing, right? So like, and if you don't have an internet connection, right, like that also, don't try to have it send out data to me. So one, I love seeing the data because it's really helpful for me as an early entrepreneur to improve the product. But yes, you can you can turn off that data sharing so it's only you who gets to see it. But the data that it sends out, and probably the most interesting thing is, right, it's basically a voltage at the bare case. If you go into like the history of your Home Assistant and you're looking at the device, right, it is pumping out a signal called pressure voltage, kind of thing. And when you get into bed, that signal drops significantly. And when you roll around, it wiggles a little bit. Now I have to be careful to make sure that wiggle doesn't get counted as you're out of bed. So there's a bit of cleverness in the algorithm that runs it. But you can actually kind of see, like, I am in the future, it's very easy to see that you could kind of like maybe identify your sleep stages with it very easily, right? Because like when you're not moving, like when you're not doing anything, that line is nothing. Like it's gone down and that voltage doesn't move. But when you shift sides or you roll over or you snore and then you wake yourself up from snoring for a second and you go back, or you get up to go to the bathroom, which is, again, that's a common use case. There are 3 use cases for slumber tech, and the most common one is I'm in the middle of the night. I just want something that's going to turn off, and I don't know what you use the elevated sensor one for, but it's just like I want a night light because I'm going up. It's 3 a.m. and I just want my underbed lights to turn on or my bathroom, under light to turn on or whatever. And then when I get back in bed, I want to turn off. I just don't want to do anything, kind of thing. And so that's like the most common things you can see at night. And this is an interesting point. It's really, there's lots of things you can wear and do for yourself. Like if I want to wear a watch or a head thing or, a heart rate monitor or whatever when I sleep, like, because there's something about my health I want to know. Like I'll wear them because I want to. That's me. I've made the decision that like I want more information about me for health reasons. I think the most interesting thing that I've been finding about the slumber tech is it's actually really good for monitoring somebody. Currently, is I have a 9-year-old. And she likes to get up in the middle of the night and sneak out and play video games. And at the end of the night, and he doesn't know.
She's figured that out. See, mine's 8, and she hasn't figured that out yet.
Right, and I don't tell him that it's under his bed, but it's really helpful for me when he gets up in the middle of the night and then goes back to bed, and I'm like, I try to get him up in the morning, and I'm like, hey, we got a big day, we got stuff to do, whatever. Why are you so cranky? And like, why are you fighting this? And like, why are you not getting up? And I can go back and look at the data and be like, like at least I know that like you were up between like 2 and 5 in the morning. You know, I don't know what you're doing because there's that privacy aspect of it, but I'm like, I now know why. And it was funny because while I was doing this, but like I have him under obviously my side of the bed and my wife's side of the bed and like our 2 kids. And when I was looking at that, and I was realizing like it was helpful for me to be like, oh, we're gonna have a bad day today. Like it was at least nice to know, even though I wasn't happy about it. Like it's on me to like, and I could have it set up, you know, notifications through Home Assistant kind of thing, right? To just go to my phone that like, hey, he's out of bed, and have it ping me. But my sleep is more important than his sleep. So like I don't want to be woken up, and it's not critical. That said, when he was like 3, he once got up in the middle of the night and just went out the front door and just hung out in the front yard for like 15 to 20 minutes.
Wow.
And the only reason we knew is because we have a Ring doorbell, right? And then like the next morning, it was like, hey, somebody came to the door at like 2:30 in the morning. And I was like, who's coming to the door? Do you think? Like I got the notification in the morning. I looked at it and then we just saw him, right? He wandered outside and like was just staring at the sky and we live in a cul-de-sac, pretty far away.
Just wanted to check,
like, oh, you're
check out the Perseids, the meteor shower. You want to go see that?
Yeah. So, and that was the only reason we knew. And I was like, at that point, like if I had the device then, like that would have been a nice time, right? Toddler stage where they're capable of doing so. Because I think that we also learned that like he was capable of like unlocking the front door within the deadbolt. At the same, like that was both those realizations came at the same time. Like, wow, he's not afraid enough to get up and do it. And like, also he knows how to undo the deadbolt and go outside kind of thing. Right. And like all these things clicked and I don't remember all the things we ended up doing. We obviously talked to him and explained that it was dangerous and there were coyotes and stuff like that. And like, but depending on how, your 3 or 4-year-old is, or they might listen to that, they might not. So like to get that notification back then probably would have been more helpful than letting him be outside for 20 minutes. And
yeah, my daughter's 8. I was laughing earlier because like my daughter's 8 and she hasn't figured out. Well, she actually likes her sleep. So like she's always slept basically the full like 12 hours at night, even when she was tiny.
Yeah, lucky
and yeah, right. We have stories about like waking her up and not realizing that because she was a brand new kid, and they're like, yeah, you got to feed her, and she was kept crying, and it's like, why is she crying? She must have colic, she must have like all this stuff. And it's like, no. And they talked to a nurse and they're like, why are you waking up
a sleeping baby,
a baby at night? What's wrong with you? And we're like, bags under our eyes. 2 weeks later, like, oh yeah, okay. Boy, I felt like an idiot. I'm like, yeah, we just don't wake her up. And she's just slept. But yeah, she hasn't figured out that she can wake up and play video games, but I'm sure she would.
Yeah.
Because it's like right there. She does always stay up at night, but I ended up putting in one of those, I think I had an Aqara sensor, FP2 millimeter wave that we were talking about.
You're talking about.
And it works fine. It just has the ghost artifacts that pop up every now and then. And the other day I walked in, like, it's not working. Like, what happened? And she had climbed up there and she had turned it around. So it was facing the other way. It was all the way up on top of her. Yeah, she's figured it out.
Well, that's because it blinked that one time, right? Because you said you updated it and it started blinking.
I updated it and it upset her. Yeah. So she knew it was there. And
so now she knows.
She climbed up there on the bookshelf. So, oh God, I don't know how she did that. But she climbed up there and spun it around so it wasn't working. So
yeah. I think going back to like the sensors for the right time, the right purpose kind of thing, like mine is so invisible. And you can put one of the cool ones, and I think Apollo's talked about this too, is yes, you can put the sensor, the millimeter wave directing like towards the chest, and you can even get like breath rate and stuff like that, right? Well, if you put it under the bed and face it up, it can also work kind of thing. So now it's at least more hidden. Now, of course, they can always put their head underneath the bed and see it and move it and shake it or whatever, right? But like,
I don't even want to look under her bed. So it's like, it's just always like, are you serious? Like, how did a chip bag? Seriously? Like, why?
Yeah.
You just have to ask. Why are you hiding this stuff? Yeah. Well, we're kind of running on our time here, but I do want to touch on the pricing for the products that you have here. $79 it looks like right now for the SlumberTech pre-order, right?
Yep.
And then it's also $79 right now on the website for the Trample Tech Blue.
Yes, without the socket. So that's like if you want the Home Assistant version, it's $79, and if you want the Stomper version, right, which has like no internet connection or whatever, it's Bluetooth, then the socket's another $20 kind of thing. So that's
Okay.
$99. So
That makes sense.
yeah, I would love to make those prices smaller, but it's hard being a startup.
Well, do you ship worldwide? Is it can Gavin over there in the wild? Oh wow!
I shipped to Canada. I shipped. I think there was a period of time where, like, for some reason, a bunch of people in like Denmark were finding it, and I was shipping a bunch to Denmark.
Nice.
That was strange, but like, yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know, but we're huge in Jersey, which is a tiny little island off of France.
Yeah.
So we have
got one
at least
listener,
one
maybe.
listener.
Oh yeah, you talked about that. I've heard about it. Talking about
We found them.
Yeah. Yeah.
We found them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and honestly, I think your pricing is right in line. Like if you're going off of like Reddit comments, like everything is too expensive according to Reddit.
Yeah.
But I use a similar professional product for I have a company that does assisted living and security systems, and so we have a bed sensor mat. It looks very similar to what you have. It has a wireless version, so there's like a little battery pack that plugs into it instead. And I think my dealer cost is like $110 or $120.
Yeah.
So compared to like that, I mean, you're cheaper than that, and it's ESP Home, so you can tie it in Home Assistant and everything. So honestly, I think your pricing is pretty fair for what I've seen in comparison to other products.
Yep. And it's the only reason it's not finished is because it doesn't have the covers. And I've been trying to source covers actually. It's not anywhere on the website about like, I'm trying to lean into a lot more sustainability. So like if I tell people, and I recently put up too, that like, if you don't like it, like I will buy it back because I don't want you to throw it away. I don't want the electronics waste. So like I will, if your thing gets destroyed or whatever, like you destroy it and you're like, I still want it back because I will take the circuit board back and I will reclaim it kind of thing. And the people who are making my covers right now, they are using what's referred to as dead stock, material, which is material that's just sitting in a warehouse that's going to be landfilled kind of thing. And instead, right, I'm using it. So the covers might be different colors at different times because I'm working with a company that's basically like, hey, like this company here has material that they're not going to use anymore. So I'm like, great, let's turn those into covers kind of thing, because that's the only reason. It's at $79.99 right now because I don't have the covers. When it is fully done, I'm probably going to have to bump the price a little bit more kind of thing. But then it'll be when you actually take it out of the box, it'll actually look nice because I can't believe this. You're gonna have to edit this one out. But right, it kind of looks like a trash bag when it comes out. Like I really like wish
it does have that look on the website.
I don't like that. And some people have been like, yeah, I don't care. Like it goes under the bed. Like it doesn't matter to me at all.
It goes under the bed. Yeah, who cares?
Like I don't care that it don't.
Oh, and it looks similar. It looks similar to the version I use too. I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but that one it looks very similar anyway. So I personally don't even see the reason for a cover because it's going underneath my mattress and everything. But I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
If you had it underneath the pillow top or I could see that you may want to put a cover on.
Yeah, the floor mat's a little more important because you might see that one, but
Right. Yeah.
The bed sensor, I mean, nobody sees that.
Yeah, and using it for the same story I had about the kid getting out of bed is the same story I've been hearing people. Recently, somebody reached out to me, and I know we're running out of time, so I'm saying fast. Right, that like his mother with she's an older mother kind of thing, right? Like, so she's having some difficulties of aging, right? So she moved him into his house, and I'm going to chat with him soon about it. And he was like, yeah, like I'm using this to see when she gets out of bed because she's a wanderer, or she could be a wanderer with risk kind of thing, right? And like, we're not going to put her, like, I don't want to put her into an adult family home or whatever, but like both adult family homes I've been chatting to locally as well, and people who have the overlap is small, which is like, I have a parent in my home that I'm taking care of and also have Home Assistant. So that's which is why I'm really enjoying, and we talked a little bit when we started the ESP Home, because you can use it outside of Home Assistant. And it's shortened my development cycle so much to be able to use ESP Home. And I really need to thank Jesse and that team.
Yeah.
And reach out to them and express to them like how much time they've saved me. But yeah, because to use MQTT to get that data and then use it to help those people who, want to have their parent in their home or need to, or so I'm sure the same thing that you're using it for and professionally, TJ, is similar, and just to give people more ability to do that kind of thing.
It's interesting you say that because I don't think a lot of manufacturers realize how, I mean, that's a huge lift, right? To go down the software development side and investigate how to solder all this stuff together, even if you knew how to, it's still a big lift. And like for them to have done that part, I mean, I was flashing, it's on the show this week, but I was flashing these what are they called? Shelly devices with ESP Home. Yeah. So I have a particular use case that I need them to work with, and the Shelly software doesn't do it.
Yep.
And so I just was investigating. I found out you can, since it's ESP, it's ESP 32 chip, or it's ESP 8266 or something like that.
Yeah.
I can flash it and put exactly what I want it to do on there. And just kind of realizing like how stupid easy they've made that.
It's so nice.
A lot of manufacturers probably need to kind of take a look at that and go, maybe we should do. The only issue I have with it is some of the little small stuff, like the Wi-Fi settings are kind of like burnt in, and the network settings are burnt into the firmware, which I get, but man, that moving those out into a more configurable way would be a little bit better. But maybe it's an issue with the chip or something that they can't do that.
Yeah. Nobody's had a problem installing it other than people, as I said. I don't know if we were recording or not when we talked about the fact that like the biggest issues that people have are usually if they have very unique systems. If they don't have a vanilla Home Assistant with an ESP Home add-on, like then I get usually lots of like, it's not quite working. The flash, it didn't quite connect to my network very well. But a lot of people are super techie and usually figure it out for themselves. They enjoy the troubleshooting. that hardwiring is helpful for connecting quickly to Home Assistant, but I think it if you want to use it outside of Home Assistant, you do have to be more clever.
Right. And the way you're shipping it probably just boots up with a little Wi-Fi that you connect to. Is that what you're...
No, I don't. So when I ship them, I ship them because I decided to do this, and I'll try to make this quick. I decided to do it this way, which is, so you can do that, right? The ESP Home, a lot of people do, and that's the same thing that elevated sensors do. And I think a lot of Apollo stuff does the same thing, right? Like you plug it in, and it creates its own Wi-Fi spot, and you log into that, and then you give it its your Wi-Fi credentials. Well, what I've decided to do instead is there's a tool called ESP. I think it's just called ESP Tools or ESP Web or Web Tools or something like that.
Yep.
And you plug the mat into that, and then there's a button on my website, and or on the
it programs
docs.asc.com, and then you provision it that way. And that it has caused some people some issue, but it's relatively quick, and I have a whole video about how to do it. And it's a little bit slower. But the thing that I have found that has been a benefit is if there's anything ever goes wrong and it's not connecting or something's weird, you've just learned that you can use the logs from that ESP tool, that web tool. And so even if it's not going to Home Assistant, then because you can't read it, if it's not making it to Home Assistant, you have no idea what's wrong with it, kind of thing, right? So at least now, and I've used that several times when people have had issues to be like, well, what's it doing? And they're like, I don't know. And it's like, okay, well, send me the logs from the ESP tools when you check it in. And, it takes a little bit of explanation, but then they can send me the logs and I go, look, you must have put this in wrong. Or, actually,
the password's wrong.
Yeah, there's something going on here, kind of thing. So it's a nice way. I'm kind of unintentionally teaching people to use that tool. And that has ended up benefiting me, I feel like, a little bit, and them to some extent, instead of the super simple, like, log into it. And eventually I might move to that. But
no, I don't think either way is fine. I think the first time I ran across that was the guys over at Connected, which he does like an alarm panel.
Yep.
Yeah. Nate over there. And that was the first time I ran across that feature. Yep. And it's a Chrome feature that that it doesn't work in Safari because, security or whatever. But like, holy cow, that opened up my eyes to what a simple couple of lines of JavaScript could do in the browser.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's an amazing feature that you can connect basically a USB device, a serial input device, to your browser and operate it right through the. Oh, wow. And it does make that troubleshooting a lot easier. Yes. And that's how I ended up programming all of these things is through the browser and not through like a terminal port or anything like that. So
I think it's easier then if you want to check the YAML. So, right, if I don't want to scream the word YAML like Paul Hibbert does, but like if you want to go into YAML, you want to change it. Some people have, right, that like all that is up on GitHub. It's all open source. If you then take control of the device in ESP Home, and then it imports all that YAML file, so you can go in and kind of you take a look at how it works. Like it's open source, so like if you really want to tweak it or learn exactly how it works, that's fine with me. Like but that I feel like it's a little bit more complicated than the just plug into its own local Wi-Fi. But I think for people who have been really leaning into it, because it is super like new tech, and I really have been appreciating all the people who have purchased it, who are usually pretty like, oh yeah, I'm buying this because like I have a problem, but also because I think it's like neat and interesting and it's new. And they could solve it so many different ways. And honestly, the best way to do bed presence is an old video by Everything Smart Home. And Everything Smart Home. The guy who makes the everything sensor presence or whatever, the ESP. He has an old video of like using like load cells.
Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis. Like he has an old video of load cells underneath each like bedpost or whatever. Like you can find out if you gained 5 pounds, kind of thing with that thing. Like,
oh wow, okay, yeah, like they do at the truck weigh stations.
Exactly, right? And like of all the things, because I've looked up all the different ways you can do bed presence sensing or whatever. Like if you are going to DIY this and you're like, I want this to be like perfect and accurate or whatever, right? Like that's the way you go. Not me, not elevated sensor, not like millimeter wave. Like you get load cells and you put them underneath the corners of each of your bed, and he has a great video about it.
Interesting.
But you gotta, there's nothing, you gotta buy them all yourself. You gotta hook them out to ESP. You gotta, probably get
Right.
ESP home as well, kind of thing. And you gotta load your own YAML. And he's got all that code up there and stuff like that. But that is like, but those are the types of people who I feel like buy this and are interested in like checking it out. And actually, I had one guy bought it so he could compare it. He was like, yeah, that's cool. Like I want to compare it to my load cell setup. And it worked. I like it. We were pretty much spot on.
Nice.
Kind of thing. Although I'm not as accurate for weight because I don't do, the weight accuracy is not.
Well, you'd have to have the whole body would have to be. Yeah. I'd understand. Yeah, because it's this. What we're looking at. You could probably say right off the top of your head how big this is, but it looks like it's about what it would fit on a single bed, right? Like you'd have no problem.
Yeah. So
putting it on a single.
It's 31 by about 16. 31 inches by about 16 inches. So it's designed to be wide enough that if you had a king bed, you could put two side by side. With a gap in between, and it's even, I think if you have a double, I think a double is 64 inches wide or something like that. So there's still a little bit of a gap in between, so that way you can go. And I tell people to do it long ways, like perpendicular across the bed, kind of thing. But some people have done, if they have a thin enough bed, and actually somebody recently who had a thin enough European bed that he actually turned them so that they were running kind of parallel. The long was running parallel with the. Mm-hmm. And that actually, I think, is hopefully working a bit better for him at the time because the European beds were a bit narrower and like there was enough overlap where he was like, oh, sometimes when I get in, it's affecting her sensor kind of thing.
Well, Raymond, I do want to thank you so much for coming on and explaining so much about the products. I know you mentioned the website again.
Yep.
And congratulations for being you're the shortest domain I think we've ever had on the site here. You know who the next one was? It was Jamie Siminoff. He came on the show and said, oh, yeah, we're rebranding. Doorbot.com is going to be ring.com at the end of the week.
Dang. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, the show comes out on Friday. Is it can we just say ring.com? He's like, yep. So I'm like, all right, cool. But so, yeah, where can people go to find the Slumber Tech and do a pre-order on it? And then where can they find the Trample Tech as well?
Yep. So all of it's on ASC.com. And you can go into the products page. I'm trying to get more people to just learn about it kind of thing and see if I can get some interest because the feedback has always been great. Like, and I didn't even say like the reason I made Trample or Slumber Tech was because when Smart Home Solver put it up and a lot of people bought it, a lot of people then messaged me and was like, hey, can I use this under my bed? And the answer is like for Trample Tech, like it kind of works sometimes for some bed frames, like very specific types of bed frames. It would actually be like 80 or 90% accurate, but some bed frames, it was awful kind of thing. But so like I am, and I feel like at the beginning of this, I can't remember, one of you was like, I got so many ideas kind of thing to share with you, but I'd like, that's what I live for kind of thing, right? Like some people have been like, I want, can you make this a chair sensor? Like, could you make something smaller so I could put it in my couch? Cause like the Trample Tech Mats are too big and, the Slumber Techs are even bigger kind of thing. So, I love feedback. I love talking to people about like how they're using it and what they might want to use it in the future. But yeah, just go to ASC.com. You can also just email me at Raymond@ASC.com. Like I'm always happy to chat with people on their ideas if they've got cool things that they want to use it for or want to give me suggestions on business, or
business books to read. Yeah. Just to get to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or if you're like, hey, I know an adult family home that you can pilot this in or something like that. I don't know, like, cause I'm always kind of exploring, application spaces. Cause the more, I make it for more good. So it's really fun to put it in the home assistant space, but right. If the real value that people are getting is like, and I've been leaning towards more, like I used to be like nightlight. And now I'm like, hey, like find out if your kid's up in the middle of the night or if you're taking care of an older person in your home, like find out if they're getting up at night kind of thing. Like it's already got home assistant anyways. You probably want a couple of different sensors to make sure that you catch them and just in case one of them makes a mistake anyways. So,
all right. Well, Raymond, thanks so much for coming on the show and chatting with us about the offerings over there at ASC and all the cool use cases you can get from these products. This is really interesting. I'm staring at the Slumber Tech going, now that she knows that sensor's there, if I put this in secretly one day, she's never going to know. And then she'll be like, I turned it off. How did he find out? And so,
yeah.
And for $79, not a bad deal. So, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing with us.
Yeah. Thank you for reaching out.
All right. That's our interview with Raymond King. Thanks so much, Raymond, for coming on the show. We really had a fun conversation with him, and he's really fun to talk to. I definitely can tell that he has a passion for what he does and for this type of technology and integration. So I think, TJ, you said that you were interested in have you been testing these devices, the sensors out or no?
I have, and that's part of my project update set. You gotta wait for it. I'm sorry.
We'll have to tease that now. We'll have to just get to that in the very next segment. We'll get there. But yeah, really, really great conversation with Raymond, and thanks for coming on the show. And we'll have to get him back on one of these days. It seems like he's doing a lot. So if you do want these, ASC.com, go check out products they have over there. Both the mat and the mattress underbed sensors, where you can tell if somebody's in bed. Really neat system. All right, let's move on here. We've got nothing in the mailbag, but we do have a pick of the week. We have a scavenger hunt pick of the week, courtesy of our friend TJ, who has been traveling into tchotchke stores in New England.
Man, so many tchotchke stores. That's all you do when you're on vacation, I think, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, this past week and 2 weeks ago, whenever you're listening to this podcast, I was in Portland, Maine. I was there for 4 days. We got in on Sunday, then we left on Wednesday. So that was pretty fun. Never been to Maine before. But, I do what I do when I go to new places, and I look for all the technology. And I'm looking around this little tchotchke shop, and I look in the area that you're going to see a picture of, and I was like, there's something hidden there, and I found it. So we'll put that picture in the show notes there. You have to see if you can find the alarm panel. It's there, I promise. Seth kept asking me. He's like, "Are you sure it's here? I don't see it. Are you sure?" And I was like, "It's definitely there."
Took me a while.
When you notice it, it's very obvious.
Yeah, when you notice it, it is obvious. But it did take a while. I was looking up and I see the wires. I'm like, where are the wires going? I'm like, is that wire? No, that's a boat. I don't know. But yeah, go ahead and check it out we'll put it in our show notes there. But yeah, there's a lot going on in this picture. All right. If you have any feedback, questions, ideas, or picks of the week yourself, give us a shout. Maybe you've got a scavenger hunt. We can go on and find something in your picture. You can go ahead and email us over at feedback@HomeTech.fm, or you can go to the form at HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill it out. All right, project updates. I do have a slight update to my LED lights. I think I told you guys I got tired of the, what is it, RGBW light. Yeah, I got tired of using that and attempting to make a warm dim feature out of it. And I just swapped them out for some nice Cobb LEDs and had the lenses on and everything. Now, these aren't the toe kicks that I didn't like. These are just the under cabinet ones. So I've completely switched projects and moved back over. And then I reprogrammed all of the little devices and made them ESP home devices and put them on just a cool white and warm white control. And now I can control the color temperature that I want between, 2700 to
2700K, yeah.
5K or 6K or something like that. Yeah, 26,000. I don't know, sure. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it works out exactly how I want it to be. I did try the thing you told me to get, the adaptive lighting thing for Home Assistant, and I think that will work for me, but I want to make some changes to it. I've got to really, there's so many options in that little thing. Like it's very, like I want to limit it way more than it wants to go. Like I don't want it to do some of the things it was doing, and when it decides to do them, and I have to make it work in conjunction with the ceiling lights, because I don't want like the under cabinet lights to be like a different color than the ceiling lights, right? And those aren't the same type of lights, so it's going to be tricky. But I did like what they've done there. It has a lot of cool features in it, and you can kind of track the color throughout the day, from like being sunlight during the day, and then that nice warm color, at night when you have them dim down low. It does a pretty good job of that. So Thanks for recommending that, TJ. But that's all I got. That's all I did. Just tinkering.
Sometimes my recommendations work out.
Yeah. Well, when I get back to programming the million different features of that thing, like there's an override and like don't change the light when I touch it, and it's like, okay, well, do I want all this? I don't know. But,
nope, disable. You don't need that.
Yeah.
It's too much.
All right, so TJ, you teased us already. Tell us about your sensors. What's going on?
Yeah, so I've been playing with the ASC sensors. This is the SlumberTech and TrampleTech.
Yep.
The SlumberTech is the bed sensor. The TrampleTech is the floor mat. I found more use cases for the SlumberTech, but I think that's only because I already had a product that did this. I think a couple months ago, and I've talked about it a couple times now, I've had the elevated sensor on, which is the bed sensor. I think, Gavin, you have the same one, correct?
Yeah, I have the little strip one under the bed. Yeah.
Yeah, so we both have those. I think it works great. My hesitation when I bought that one originally is it was $70 for the dual zone one. This is the elevated sensor. It was $70 for the dual sensor one, but they were very weak in the fact that they use these little strips. They basically peel the adhesive off and you attach them to your box spring or your slats, however your bed is configured, and that's how they stay on there. And I knew that those things would rip because as you adjust the bed or you push the bed up or whatever, it's going to go on these strips and ruin them. And sure enough, I ruined 2 strips within a couple months. And those strips were like $35. So I'm already at over $100 for this sensor. This SlumberTech is more expensive. It's $120 on sale at the time of recording this podcast, $140 normally. And you probably want 2 of them if you have a partner. And so you're going to spend, $250 on this, but they're so much more durable. This is the normal bed sensor you would see in like an assisted living facility or like a security system. I use a similar bed sensor to this for my assisted living facility, and they just work. They don't break. There's nothing like internally that like messes up with them. I don't know if they're waterproof or not, so don't ask me that question. But they're so much more reliable and durable than those little strips. And they're about the same price. I think my cost on these through alarm.com are about $100. So it's about the same price. I don't know of any other bed sensor that uses the actual mat though. And so I would recommend the SlumberTech just for that simple fact that you don't really have to worry about it breaking. They do the same exact thing. They both can auto calibrate. You can manually calibrate them. You can tell how much pressure is on them. I don't need to know any of that. I just need to know if somebody's on it or if somebody's not on it. And that works really well.
Nice.
It also covers a bigger area too, right?
Correct.
So that's the nice part about it, where the little strip is just at the spot where you put it. So if you roll over the wrong way, it could trigger lights to turn on or whatever your automation is, where this one, I think, is a lot better.
Correct. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually, I forgot about that part, but that is very important because I have, the elevated sensor, I have that, the strip more towards the top of the bed because that's usually where I lay. Like when I go in the bedroom, I typically don't sit on the bed or anything. It's just like I go to sleep and that's it. But occasionally I do sit on the edge of the bed when I'm waking up or something like that. And then my lights start turning on even though I'm not out of bed. And so this one I can stretch across a larger surface and actually get me pretty much when I'm in the bed, no matter where I'm at. So that definitely is a good advantage of the SlumberTech there.
Very cool. Very cool. Are you using the mat for anything?
I am using the mat. I haven't found as many use cases for that, but I think it's really because right now we're training the dog, and so we don't leave floor mats out because he likes to nibble on floor mats, and chewing on an electronic floor mat would not be a good idea. The only automation I have for the floor mat is that when we step up to the kitchen sink, it'll automatically adjust the brightness of the under cabinet lights to like 85%. And so that way, if I'm sitting there doing dishes or something, the lights just automatically turn on and adjust for me because I don't always have the cabinet lights turning on with my automations. They mainly turn on at nighttime, but it's nice to be able to, when I walk up to the kitchen sink, that the lights just automatically turn on and they set their brightness. That way I can see what if I'm actually washing the dishes.
Nice.
Does the floor mat tell you how much pressure you're putting on it, or is it just somebody's on it or off of it?
Yeah, it's basically just an on and off, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. It would be nice if it told you how much pressure, because then you could put it in front of like the snack cupboard, and when you step on it, out your Sonos place. Nah, no, not today.
It's only if you're above a certain weight, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, it sounds pretty positive. I've been staring at these, and I think he has them set up where you can like buy them in bulk, right? There's like a couple of different options.
Yeah, you
and
can
like
buy
they
a
get
3-pack, you can buy a 4-pack.
Yeah.
I mean, just buy a 4-pack and send it to me. A 4-pack is only $320, so you're basically saving like $150.
That's what I was looking at. So,
deal.
yeah.
We could split a 4-pack.
Yeah, I seen you one.
It's a good product for like kids and stuff, though. I mean, Seth is always trying to fight his kid. His kid's always running out of bed and stuff like this. He's always doing like door sensors and all kinds of crazy stuff. Just do a bed sensor. Bam. You're done.
Yeah, the Akara one. I have the Akara, that millimeter wave thing. And if you go to the app, it tells you that she's not in bed. And then you like look at it and you're like, I can't tell. It also says 0 lux. Both of these are lies. So you go and look at it and like, oh, she's in bed, but the light's on because she's sitting there reading a book and it's like 9:30 at night. It's like she should have gone to bed an hour and a half ago or whatever. Anyway, the for whatever reason, the dashboard widget for the Akara app does not work with their own piece. So I'm kind of getting tired of that. And I would like to know if she turns her light on and starts reading a book in the middle of the night.
Oh,
yeah, because she's up playing or whatever she's doing. But she's in bed. Like, it counts her as being in bed, but she's not, turn the light off, kid.
Reading a book like a nerd.
I know, right? Stop reading Harry Potter. Go to bed.
I'll date myself here, but many years ago when I was like that, I was under the blankets playing Game Boy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. She hasn't figured that one out yet, but I'm sure she would. She will eventually, because she does sneak off with the iPad from time to time. But yeah, she hadn't figured that one out. But the Akara does sense that the light is on in the room, but if you go to the dashboard widget, it says 0. If you go in and look at the sensor data, like there's like historic graph or whatever, just kind of like Home Assistant does, it actually tells you what the real value is. And sometimes it's like 6 lux or whatever. So it's pretty low, but that's because she has this little reading light next to her bed, or whether she's kicked on to read her book. So that said, like, I'm not having so much troubles with her getting out of the bed anymore. It's moved. It's changed to not being in bed. But I do like the idea of automating, like, hey, everybody's in bed. We can make sure you turn off lock the doors, turn off all the lights, that kind of thing. So,
well, that's what I've set up. So I'm curious what you've done with yours, Gavin. I assume it's something similar because there's only so many things you can really do, right? But what mine does right now is that whenever we get into bed, it kind of depends if one or both of us gets in the bed, because I'm using the elevated sensor right now. I'll probably end up buying another slumber tech here in a little bit. But right now what happens is, like, if one of us gets into bed on either side, then, the light turns off after a couple minutes, and then the motion in the bedroom gets disabled. So that way if somebody like walks in the room or something, the light does not turn on automatically. And then it kills the Sonos audio grouping. So that way if somebody's watching TV in the living room, then the speakers in the bedroom don't work. The other things I'm doing is, just making sure all the doors are locked. And that's kind of it. If both of us get into bed, then it automatically disables all of the motion lights, turns all the lights off, locks the doors, all that fun stuff. So it's all stuff that I like. We have a small house, so it doesn't take me any time to go around and make sure the doors are locked. But it's one of those things that, like, if I forget to lock the back door, the kitchen door, then it just does it automatically as soon as we get in, or after like 5 minutes after we get in bed. But the big thing for me was automating that the motion lights don't turn back on don't turn on for a couple minutes after we get out of bed. Because what would happen is we'd wake up after taking a nap in like 2 p.m. and then I'd walk on the hallway and I get blasted with motion lights automatically. And so depending on the time of day, if we get out of bed, the motion lights stay, disabled for 5 or 10 minutes. So that's pretty nice. What have you done with yours, Gavin?
Well, you see, in my house, I almost have scenes set up for time of day. So I'll have night, evening, morning, daytime, right? So my morning and my evening is usually when it's like sunrise or sunset. It's getting dark and stuff. And then my night obviously is when it's nighttime and then daytime. I have it so that if it's in like the morning, evening, or night and you get out of bed, then it turns on our bed light. We have a bed light, a strip light underneath, and it would trigger that to turn on. And that's good. The wife likes that because she'll get up to go to the bathroom, for example, or to let out the dog or something, and the light comes on and it takes care of that stuff for her, right? And there's a few extra smarts in there where if you turned it on manually, it wouldn't automatically turn off on itself and stuff like that, right? So we have little bedside buttons like kind of hidden around. You could just reach and press them, and like one click will turn on that light manually. Double click turns on the room light. Hold it turns on the room fan, that type of thing. So, it's simple automations like that, but she really likes them because they actually come in handy without her thinking about it, right? Like she doesn't have to do anything about it. So that's what I use it for.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, pretty boring stuff in the grand scheme of things, but it's nice when those things just work and you don't have to like do any other external things for them. So
exactly. The only annoying thing, or not annoying, but the one thing I haven't really been figured out, but if you want to spy on the neighbors at night, you get out of bed to go look out your window, the light comes on and they'll see you in the window. It's like, damn it, like, you can't really hide. So, you get up, turns on, you got to turn it back off and then go spy out the window.
You would have that.
But I mean, we're always spying on the neighbors.
You got to get some better cameras, I think is what I heard. Like,
yeah.
That way you can just go from your phone.
Why are you even getting out of bed,
I know. But I'm still waiting for TJ to come up here to, run my POE for my new
I'll be there next year, maybe.
Oh, it was supposed to be this year.
Keeps pushing it back. Oh, that sounds really cool. It sounds like I'm the only one without the bed sensors these days. So I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to pick some of these up because they sound really cool and the way they integrate and all the stuff you can do with them.
I mean, you could have bought almost three of these bed sensors for one of your AI horns, and these do way more than your AI horns.
And they actually will probably get installed and used.
No, well, I don't know about that, but they are cheaper.
They would be.
And more useful. They probably have the same amount of AI, too. I mean, that's what's crazy.
That's what he should do. I'm going to send him some feedback. Like, where's the AI?
Yeah, exactly.
Just write it on there. I mean, people will buy it, evidently, if you just write it on there. So
that's right.
Maybe we do a group buy. You buy a pack, you send me two, you keep two. There's something else in Florida I want you to send me, but we'll work out a deal.
He's just gonna get an AI horn, shows up to your house one of these days.
Pre-programmed with a message.
Yeah, yep, exactly. All right. I think that's gonna wrap up the show this week. But we do have a patron to thank this week. We have a very special patron, came in at the $5 and up level, and that's Rodney. We're not going to say his last name. I'll just say Rodney A. Thanks, Rodney. I think he's in the Slack too now, right? He popped in there. So yeah.
I think so.
Thank you, sir.
And we appreciate all our patrons, not just the $5 one. We appreciate all of them. So don't feel left out.
Yeah. We want to thank everyone for even listening to the show, because we do appreciate that too. But we do want to spend that special thanks out to everyone who is able to support the show and our trip possibly to CES.
Maybe.
Well, no, there's no possibly. There's Gavin and I are going to CES, Seth.
Yeah. I mean,
you have to decide if you're going.
Think about how, like, if everybody listened to the show was a patron of the show, we could have like a real
don't blame the listeners, Seth.
That still wouldn't work out.
You're the problem here. You're the problem.
Yeah, that's right.
The Patreon can't always give us more money, though. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
There's no stopping them. Yeah. We're gonna come up with. TJ has some schemes that we're gonna come up with, and I think we're gonna implement a few of them soon. Maybe next year. Maybe we'll talk about them.
Maybe next year. Soon, maybe next year sometime.
Possibly.
It's September. Do you guys know it's September right now? Like towards the end of September. Did you realize that?
I know, it's crazy. We'll be in CES before you guys know it. Yeah. I haven't booked my flights yet. I'm hoping for some cheap flights now that Vegas is getting no tourists.
Well, if you want to find out how to become a patron and possibly help the show in some interesting ways, let's just say that there'll be some interesting patron goals in the future. Head on over to HomeTech.fm/support. Learn how you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, just like Rodney here. But every single pledge gets you an invite over to our private Slack chat, the Hub, where you and everybody can gather in there and see what's going on throughout the week. There's news articles that get posted. There's questions, answers, advice. Sometimes the advice is actually useful and good. Won't say all the times, but sometimes it works. There's also people over there from the UK, and they have like different questions than we would have over here, right? So they have different products and
voltages.
Apparently. Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Just plug it in and see what happens.
Don't cross the streams.
And let us know.
That was the bad advice that came through.
No. That's the good advice. That's the fun advice.
If you plug it in, take a picture and you could be the pick of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you get some of that blue smoke in there. So.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to wrap up the show this week. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Till next time.
Take care. Took you long enough.
I wasn't going to do it. I was like,
I could just edit one in for you. So.
Yeah, I was like, Seth already has my voice recorded.
Yeah, these should be like hotkeys on your stream.
That's right.
Deck, you know?
Till next time.
Yeah, let's do it. Like
possibly.